When you're 10, I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics, and it didn't seem like work to me. I just loved to do it. And so I would go after school. My mom would drive me to the city because I was 10 and I was not getting on the train. My mom had heard of the Peter Rusher Foundation, and she heard that Peter, who's absolute legend in the sport, and he has such a strong, amazing legacy, to not only develop like some of the world's best fencers. He's maybe 17, 18 Olympians come out of his program, but also just like nurture talent, Black talent, and be a family space.
Bold and Brilliant Life with Bianca Peart.
Welcome to the Bold and Brilliant Life Show. I'm your host, Bianca Peart, and today's guest is Nzingha Prescod. Nzingha is the first Black woman to win an individual medal for the Sports World Championships
in fencing, and
she's also the first American to win Foil Grand Prix. Nzingha has been ranked as high as number 5 in the world, and she and her team captured Team USA's first ever World Championships gold medal. Nzingha is one of the most decorated fencers in American history and is building her legacy through the Prescod Institute for Sports, Teamwork, and Education. And most importantly, she's a sister, a daughter, a new mother, and a dear friend. Welcome to the show, Nzingha Prescod.
Thank you for having me, Bianca. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so happy to be part of it.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. I know the last time we saw each other, you were celebrating your birthday. Yes, and we had some really good vegan food, which I'm still thinking about till this day.
Really? Yes, the Brooklyn Ital fusion.
Yes.
We love it.
We sure do.
Thanks for celebrating with me.
Of course. It's an honor to celebrate you. And I want to talk about your name, Nzingha. You're named after the Queen of Angola. She's a warrior queen who led with courage and strategy. At what age did you realize you were named after such an incredible, dominant human?
Well, my mom, my mama, my mom had a lot of foresight. And my mom taught my sister and I very early the value and the importance of having strong Black role models in your life. For example, like around all of our house, we'd have Black figurines. She would always point out, this person invented this. If we came across like peanut butter, she'd be like, a Black man invented that. Or if we go to the grocery store and we come across, I don't know, some other like gadget, she'd be like, a Black woman invented that. So that we always knew that we come from a rich history, because so much in the mainstream, it's an afterthought, I think, or not the most prized possession. And my mom always wanted me and my sister to know we were the prized possession. So my mom, she's not here anymore with us, but my mom named me after a warrior queen, Nzingha, and she fought off the colonizers in her territory, and so I think along with the knowing that you are a value and you are worthy, she wanted me to know that you're not owned by anyone, and to maintain your peace and to respect your space and to demand the respect. And so it's an honor to be named after her. And kind of weirdly, I got into a combat sport. I really think you become your name. So to answer your question of when I understood that I was named after this historic, leader, I think probably once I ended my fencing career, once I retired, and I started building PISTE, the Prescod Institute for Sport, Teamwork, and Education, it's called PISTE. And when we started building the academy, and it's 5.5 years in, and seeing the impact it's had on families and on our students, and how much power we have in organizing and delivering impact to the community and being very intentional. about like who we're serving, where we're serving, who's involved, like what are we targeting, who's part of it, what resources are we, including, and how do we engage with our kids, and like what do we demand of them in terms of their behavior and what their capacity is and how productive they should be, and what your goal, what your standard is for yourself, and like the excellence we want to inspire. I think I started realizing more, just more recently, really, about the name and kind of growing into the name and stepping into the shoes. I also think that Queen Nzingha, it's a big shoe to fill. And so I just give myself a lot of grace. And, I think that's part of my personality, like kind of stepping into that equity equity hat, like that justice hat, I think, through sport and education. But it's really a part of me. I don't see that as I'm at battle all the time. Very weirdly, I was always at battle, like when I was an athlete. Like fencing is a combat sport, so I just always think that's funny. Now I have a little chuckle that I was named after Queen Nzingha, and I was like literally fighting with swords for most of my life. Weirdly enough that I was doing that also, but here we are.
It's intentional. Your mother, like you said, has the foresight. And for you, you've been fencing since a very young age. And, I think there's, for me personally, like telekinetic energy, like visualization, the power of the tongue, like whether you realize it or not. I'm surprised actually that you realize it kind of like after your fencing career, but all those years, that was you, Nzingha. Like you were being built and developed in the queen that you are today. So I think that's pretty powerful. And for you grew up in Brooklyn.
I did.
What part? I know you got to represent. All the Brooklyns Brooklyn Knights love to represent.
I grew up in Flatlands in Brooklyn. It's in between. It's a weird intersection of Mill Basin, Canarsie, East Flatbush, basically those. But it's like this little Caribbean enclave. Like when I grew up in Brooklyn, I thought every Black person was Caribbean, every single one. I didn't know. This is crazy, honestly, because I was traveling the world when I was 12, 13. When I got to high school, and I wasn't even I was at Stuyvesant, so there's hardly any Black people. But when I came across a Black person at Stuyvesant, and she told me she was from Brooklyn, and I'm like, where are you from? And she's like, Brooklyn. I'm like, okay, like, where are you from? Where's your family from? She's like, they're from Brooklyn, or they're from like North Carolina or something. And I'm like, okay, so where are you from? Like what island are you from? What island and I literally said, what island are you from? And she's like, we're not from an island. And I'm like,
yeah,
every Black person's Caribbean, And so I realized like very late, because everyone in my world, like in my home world, was Caribbean. And so so it's a very Caribbean, like second generation, first generation mix, like different incomes, a lot of multifamily homes. So you get people that own the home, people that are renting a home, but kind of connecting back to PISTE, like there were not a lot of programs for kids in the neighborhood. So I grew up with my mom taking me out of the neighborhood all the time, like to downtown Brooklyn, to Manhattan. Like we did the ballet in Harlem, like we did everything, but nothing was ever in the neighborhood. Including schools, the schools in the neighborhood were also a bit rough. Like none of the good schools were ever like, the ones that I wanted to go to, because I wanted to go to the best schools. And
Stuyvesant is like one of the top ranked schools. The acceptance rate is like nearly 3%. So
it's a really hard school to get into now. But I didn't even think I was going to get in, but here we are. So I wanted to bring the excellence back to the neighborhood, like to the community, like that back area of Brooklyn, because it gets no love a lot of the times in terms of like programming, funding, attention, like for youth development. So that's the origin story of PISTE and like why we exist, to bring like all of the, not only the skill of fencing, but really the ethos of Olympic sport, and inspire excellence in the community. But yeah, Brooklyn, hey.
Brooklyn.
Oh,
hey.
Brooklyn it's crazy to see Brooklyn, how it's changed so much. And it's just going to continue to change and evolve. I spoke to she's not an older one, but a mom, but she's like, her kids are grown. And she told me once, she also grew up in Brooklyn. She told me once, New York is not yours. It's not your own. It's not your own. Like some people come through New York City and it just changes and evolves, and it can't always be yours. And like, you just have to accept that. So as like a native of the city of Brooklyn, I just have to accept like my home will not always be the home I know it to be. I have known it to be. So that's like very bittersweet, but I like my coffee shop. I like a coffee shop. Yeah. So
you go to, is it Lips? Is it?
I do go to Lips.
Okay.
I'm friends with Lips. I'm friends with aunts and uncles.
Yes.
That
team.
Team.
Their food is so good.
But I really like to explore coffee shops, so I bop around. Today I was at Colina Cuervo in Crown Heights. But yeah, I like to get out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Brooklyn will always be a part of you.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
cannot, deny that. And I think for you, growing up, you played tennis, ballet, gymnastics, and you don't find fencing in New York or let alone Brooklyn. So I would love for you to talk about your entry point into fencing and the Peter Westbrook Foundation.
Yeah. So my mom, like I said, she put me in karate, softball, t-ball, tennis. I was at the Y, like doing 3 programs a day on a Saturday.
Wow.
And so when I was 9, my mom had heard of the Peter Westbrook Foundation, and she heard that Peter, who's absolute legend in the sport, passed away last year, and he has such a strong, amazing legacy.
He's the godfather of fencing, literally. From Newark, New Jersey, one of the black, he's iconic.
He created this community and space to not only develop some of the world's best fencers. He's maybe 17, 18 Olympians come out of his program, but also just nurture talent, black talent, and be a family space. And I'm understanding the space of a third, what do they call it? A third space?
Third home, third wall.
Home. They call it something these days where it's your third place that's not your home, it's not school, it's not work, but it's a third place to convene and where you frequent very often, and you build
away from home.
You build a community. And he did such a great job of creating a safe base that nurtured talent, inspired excellence, encourage you to be the best you can be in the sport of fencing, but also that transferred to everything else you wanted to do. And very grateful for him. So I started there at 9, and my mom had heard about Keith and Aaron Smart, who were the generation before me, who were also from Brooklyn, and she put my sister and I in it. And kind of at the same time, Buckie Leach, who was the Olympic coach, he had moved from Rochester, so I was training with the Olympic coach since I was 9.
Wow.
And then I just really hit it off in the sport. I feel like I have I don't know if it's a math mind, but I think I'm pretty strategic.
Yeah.
Or I had a strategy mind. Or even more so, I think I had really strong attention to detail and was coachable. I took direction well, and I just like to follow what was told to me and do the best I can with it. And I was really successful early on. And I don't know. I won my first nationals when I was 10.
10 years
my
old.
First when I went to the nationals in Austin, Texas, and I won the first time I went. And now I'm coaching kids, and I'm like, come on, let's go to nationals. We'll do great. And it's just, I think I had a special affinity and connection to fencing. It just made sense to me. And I also worked very hard. I worked really hard. And it was an amazing path for me. It just made a lot of sense, and exposed me to lots of different things I would have never been exposed to.
I mean 10 years old, winning your first competition. At what point did you realize, I imagine at 10 years old, but okay, let's take this further? And I imagine the Olympics is always the end goal, to reach it there. So how did you map that out?
My coach helped a lot. He had been there, done that kind of thing because he was the Olympic coach. I also had mentors in Aaron and Keith and everyone kind of before me, and I saw what their life looked like and like what was required, how they practiced, how late they trained, like how long their hours were, what else they did outside of being in the fencing gym. And so I had an example in front of me. So having that visual is really important when you're that young. You know, when you're 10, I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics, and it didn't seem like work to me. I just loved to do it. And so I would go after school. My mom would drive me to the city because I was 10 and I was not getting on the train. And so I got there at maybe like, I'll break down my practice. I would get there at like 3. I would warm up, and my coach made us run 20 minutes every practice to warm up. So I would do my warm up and then stretch, and then I would take my lesson, so about 30 minutes, which, you know, could be between 30 minutes to an hour, one-on-one with the coach, with Buckie, and, you know, that changed as I got older. And then I would do the footwork class, or I'd do footwork on my own for maybe 30 minutes. So by the time all of that's done, it's 5 o'clock, and the class would start. So I'd do the warm-up again with the class, and then I'd do the footwork with the class, and then I did drills. So like in any martial art you're practicing, it's a lot of repetition. It's all reps. And I love drills. Drills are my thing. Like I will hit you and work on my extension all day long, you know? That's just how I am. And that's why fencing worked for me, because it was so maniacal. It's like, it's not maniacal. It's like very mechanical. But that's only a component of it, the technical piece. That's only a component. There's also the tactical piece, which is where you get to be creative. You build your game. You can attack, you can defend, you can hit here, here, here. You can be this close, you can be that far. You can start here, end up here. There's so many different variables to play with. So I always tell people it's not like you're sprinting 100 meters every time and that's your thing. You can do absolutely anything on the strip, which I loved. But also you have to be within your range of like what makes sense technically. So so my practice would go from like 3:30 to 8, or 3 to, and I got older, it was like 3 to 8:30. It was long and it was like hard and it was fun, and I just enjoyed that, and it was just like my life for a long time. And my friends were there. I made my friends there, and it was cool because fencing was like a bunch of new people. And when I say new people, it's like, you do not live in Flatlands. You are not from you're like from the Upper East Side. You go to Chapin, you go to Trinity, you go to Dalton. You're in your SAT prep class. You have your country house. You have you're flying to Greece for your vacation. You know, like all this stuff. So it was just a new type of person I was around. And which was, you know, had its own challenge, but I was also around Peter's kids, so I had like my buffer into that, you know, very elite, you know, the upper creme de la creme of the city, which is like who fencing attracts a lot of the time, like the affluent community. So it was exposure. It was exposure because you don't live in your bubble, you know, at the end of the day. But also kind of along with that, you learn like, oh, this is what they live like. I want that too. So I think it also broadens like your goals, your purview of like what's possible for you, and also like how do you get there? So like what do? You know, like how did you get to that? So you have more understanding of that too.
So you specialize in foil. There's 3 types of fencing. Why foil? And what I do want you to talk about the mental aspect, because everyone thinks it's the physicality. You're just advancing, you know, going back and forth. But there's a mental piece to that fencing, which you alluded to, really kept you engaged.
So foil is kind of the baseline. So most people, if you're doing fencing right, you're starting in foil. Epee and saber, I think of them as derivatives. So like you start here and then it kind of evolves into this other thing and evolves into this other thing, and now there's 3. But foil is kind of the essentials, the foundation. Everyone started in foil when I was fencing at Peter's program. Buckie had just come, so it was kind of a matter of like, it's convenient. You have this great opportunity, and Buckie's looking for kids. So here you go. So that's how I ended up in foil. And I always kind of wanted to try saber. Each weapon has its own personality. Saber is like the clap, 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 like aggressive, like in terms of man, like macho man kind of vibe, like divas. You know, you're literally cutting people, slashing people in saber. So
it's like the most, I know people always want to say fencing is like a sword, but it's not. But it's as close to like sword fighting in a sense.
Yeah, what you would imagine of sword fighting, of like slash, slash, it's saber.
Yeah.
So epee is, I think, more of the politicians' weapon. It's like you're bouncing, you're waiting. Anywhere is target, and you can get hit anywhere. So it's there's no rules in epee. It's just who hits first. Saber and foil have rules, so that calls the rules of right of way. So you either have to be the person who started the attack first to get the point, or you have had to parry, which is a block. You have to have blocked last. So if you hit the blade last and you both hit, it's your point. So it's within that whole like system of right of way for foil and saber, you have to control your actions and your decisions based on where your opponent's doing, so that you have right of way at the end. By the time the lights come on and both people hit, or one person hits, you want to have had right of way, right? If both people hit, so you have to like adjust your thinking and all of your actions to be in accordance with right of way, so the referee says it's your point. So that requires a lot of self-control, because it's not like, oh, this person's coming to hit me, let me hit them. You have to refrain. There's so much restraint in fencing. Like you can't take that moment to hit the person. They're right there, and you have to like do something very last minute and like have a lot of control. So that, I think, is a huge skill in itself. Something else I think that's been very important is it's an individual sport. Even when you're fencing in a team event, it's an individual sport. You can't have someone come in. I can't be like, Nicole, Lee, come into this bout, please. Like, I don't know what to do. You have to figure it out. So an individual, of course, like there's no one who's going to pick up the team event like score to help you. So you have to be good at everything. It's not like you're just the 3-point shooter. You have to be defense, offense, middle of the strip, be able to hit really close, be able to hit really far from this angle, that angle, and whoever has the best like overall game, is gonna take it. But mental game is hard.
Yes, it feels like I'm playing chess, physical chess.
That's what they call it. I never understood that. I mean, I guess I understand that, but
you have to know where your opponent's going.
Yeah, I guess it's strategy. It's like the long game. You learn as you go a lot. You need to compete a lot to get the experience. And
you know what the most powerful piece of chess is, right?
What's that?
The queen. Queen Nzingha. I'm just gonna keep circling it back.
It's eerie, isn't it? It's interesting.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
And mental discipline. You spoke on that a lot. I just had the opportunity to cover the U.S. Open.
Amazing.
It was so
We were
fun.
all watching.
Yes, it was incredible. And to your point, it's an individual sport like tennis. If you're playing singles, it's just you on the court. Your coaches can kind of talk to you, but at the end of the day, it's you.
You have to make the decision. Yeah.
Yes. And we've seen even high level, stars crying. But what broke my heart the most, the juniors match. There was a 16-year-old, number 7 in the world. She was up 5-1 in the first set, and then lost the first set, and she just started crying throughout the entire match. I'm like, can we please stop the match? I think this girl is mentally not okay.
She's spiraling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot of mental discipline, a lot of strength.
Now I'm a single mom, so I mean we co-parent, but to care for my daughter, to be a mom is incredible amounts of mental fortitude. I mean,
and even fencing couldn't even prepare you for that.
No.
Maybe
But
it did.
that's the thing. I feel like I'm well prepared to be a mom, like pretty full time, like when she's with me, and I'm okay. I manage it. It's hard, but I only know how to manage that because I've had load on my mental. Like I've had pressure on me. I know how to respond to pressure. And I know how to be clutch in pressure. Like I was clutch in pressure. So I just am very grateful for that heaviness in sport, because when heaviness hits in real life, it's like, it's not like you're dealing with a heavy mental load for the first time. So that is, I'm very grateful for it because it's made me very strong mentally, which is like, I don't want to be strong all the time, but like I'll take it. I will take it. So, but yeah, you can't, it's like to collapse mentally in a match is like,
yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, done that, but it's not like you want that to be a habit. So you have to figure out strategies to, build yourself up and to crawl back. And even when you're ahead, it's like, okay, I used to tell myself I'd have to think about my match in increments. So, okay, say I started well, which I never started well. I was always down in the beginning. I'd be so say I was up and it's 3-0 and we're going to 15, right? So I'd have to tell myself, okay, it's 0-0. It's 0-0 because I can't be complacent right now, because then I'll like relax or not create touches and, be okay. Like, oh, I'm ahead. Like, I'll just kind of see what's going on. But if you start from 0-0, if you tell yourself, okay, it's 0-0, then you're creating and building and like strategizing to get ahead again. So now it's like 5-1, and so I'd again say, okay, it's 0-0. Like start from scratch, like, start like you didn't make any touches, and kind of those are my strongest matches, I think, when I maintain that. And it's one thing to tell yourself that, but it's like it's another thing to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like I would tell this is so long ago. It's crazy because this is my life for so long. But I tell myself, be confident, like be decisive and trust yourself. Right. Because I need to make my choice and then believe in it. Because you can make your choice and be like, I don't know, I kind of decided that, but like, I don't know, maybe this other thing will work. It's like, no, I have to choose this. I'm choosing this, and I need to be confident. Right. So there's just so many kind of mental games that I would do as an athlete that I still don't even know how I'm applying it in my day to day, but it was such valuable.
It's in you.
Experience.
You don't realize you're applying it at times.
Right. I also know when to like sit my butt down.
Yes. Can you talk about that? Because again, you're a decorated athlete, and unfortunately, your career did not end how you wished. You had an injury, which forced you to retire essentially. How? Can you talk about that? Because I know that was a really tough thing to deal with.
No, it was hard. And it's still hard, honestly. I mean, that hasn't been my life in a long time, but to change your life, I think a lot of people can relate to this, where you have so much change in your life, like, and to shift careers and like not really know or not have certainty of like where you're going is really hard. And like I think part of that too is like you lose people almost because your day-to-day was going to the fencing club, going to your workout, going to your rehab, and like you have community in that. And like now I'm not doing any of those things, so it's like, well, where am I finding my people? You don't see the same people you used to see. So that was really tough. And so like kind of rewind, I had a lot of hip challenges. So when I was 12 or 13, it kind of started, I guess, and I went to a hip doctor, and he was like, you should stop fencing now. You have dysplasia, and it's not extreme, but you do a lot of high impact, and so you're not gonna last, like your hip's not gonna last if you keep doing this sport. Maybe I was 16, probably 16. And I was like, you're insane.
Right.
I'm not listening to you. What do you mean stop fencing, you know? So I continued. And I had hip pain more persistently probably when I was 19, 20, 21. And I was hitting like my stride in seniors. Like I had just won the Grand Prix. I won the Grand Prix in 2013. So I was 21. And yeah, I was fencing great. Like, and then my hips started bothering me again. So I had my labrum repair. And then London came around, the Olympics, and the Olympics, I kind of like took this approach, I think, more passively in my mind of, okay, I want to test the waters for the first time. Okay, it didn't go that well. I had a hard draw, but you know, it was like, you know, you have hard draws, you don't have hard draws, like you rise to the occasion or you don't. I didn't. So I didn't win my first bout, and then, you know, I was okay with it. I was young, and
It was your first time at the Olympics.
Yeah, I was 19.
19?
I was 19.
Okay.
And then kind of kept going through it, and my hip, you know, I had to get the hip surgery, and then something else happened to my hip. I was losing cartilage, and then I had to get another surgery, this microfracture, where they drilled into my joint. And then after that, like, fencing was tough because I just didn't have, it was a major surgery. I didn't have like my full joint anymore. So it was hard to train. I couldn't train as often. And it's kind of like a spiral. It's like I couldn't train as often. I'm not as confident because I didn't train as much. I also can't do my high impact like exercises that I like to do. So now like I don't feel as powerful, and I'm not as explosive as I was. And you know, it's kind of just like I need to change my game. I need to like shift things to adjust to my body. And it was just hard to figure out fencing without like my full athleticism.
Yeah.
And then I started working at Ernst & Young, which was great. And I'm good at balancing. Like I was happy to balance like something else besides fencing.
So you were working full-time or part-time at a...
I was working, I would do flexible arrangements with them. So I would do like, when I had just had my surgery and I was doing rehab, I would be full-time. And then once I started training for for world championship teams, or like when the Olympic cycle came up, I would take time off either fully or like 30 hours with some remote time or something like that. They were great.
You're very lucky. An organization.
Yeah. No, they were amazing.
Yes.
No, very grateful for them.
And what was your role there?
I was a consultant, and I loved consulting. It was fun.
I feel like consulting is for you because it's very rigorous. You have these sprints. You got to get things done within a certain time frame. You're always presenting, pitching.
Yeah, I had to learn. I was in technology, so I had to learn like all of these dashboard building tools. I had to learn like syntax and formulas and all these things, and I love that stuff. I tell you, I'm a mathy type person, so I was enjoying it. I was like learning new skills. It was such a starting from scratch thing, and I was still building my fencing career and my life there, so it was hard to kind of get very deep in technology consulting, but I loved it. And I loved the teams we worked on, a lot of like very smart people, and just, you know, exposure to new things. But yeah, so had this second hip surgery, and then I was just like, oh no, now I'm on the outs. And then eventually my hip collapsed.
How? When?
In 2018, it started collapsing. I would do a lunge, and then all of a sudden I'm on the floor. Wow. It was crazy.
And painful.
It was It got to be painful, like when I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
So April of 2019, I started having to walk around the city with a crutch. And they told me to use a cane, and I was like, I'm not using a cane. I'm 27. You know? So I just couldn't keep fencing. I had to get my hip replaced. Which was just like, you know, it was kind of like a grieving of like, I lost my hip, you know, I'm 27. That's tough. And then like, I didn't keep fencing because it was just too rigorous for a new joint. And also, I'm so young, and I'd have to get it replaced again. So I didn't want to accelerate my timeline to get it replaced. When I know I have to get it replaced at least 2 more times. So I retired, which was hard.
Yeah.
And it was like right by around COVID. And then Tokyo was the Tokyo Olympics. So I couldn't go to the qualifiers, like the season for Tokyo. I had to pull out. It was just rough. And then Paris, obviously I missed Paris, but not really missed because I'm not fencing anymore. But in my mind, it's kind of like...
Yeah, that's part of your... in a sense, it's a part of your identity. It's what you know. It's what, like, the culture is.
Yeah, I mean, I was on national teams, the senior team, since I was, like, 15 till 27, 28. And we had just started medaling as a team every year, and... 2017 we started, 2018 we medaled, 2019 we medaled. So it was just like, it was a life I was building, and then it was kind of like, it's done, you're done. And I was like, that was hard. That was hard. I think I'm understanding still how that was hard, because I had to move on and like do other things, and that was kind of the start of PISTE. Realizing, I'm not competing anymore. So what am I going to do with all this skill?
Give back and build that legacy.
Yeah. So like that was my transition. And so nonprofit became like my new space. So like I'm in the fencing world still, but nonprofit world is kind of the orbit I'm in a bit more.
Yeah,
so.
And you're still in touch. You've had your galas. I had the chance and honor of hosting and emceeing at that.
Yes.
And I know you're close with Lee Kiefer and Lauren Scruggs, who made incredible, record-breaking, won record-breaking medals for Team USA in the last Olympics. So how is it, again, that community, you're friends with the fencers and, all these incredible people. So how does that keep you staying sane?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like any exit from sport is very hard at this level. Even at a college level, I think, leaving something you did very often for a long time is hard to change that. So I understand an exit from sport was always going to be hard. So in some ways, I'm grateful that I had it, and I'm alive, I still have my health. Yeah. I have my baby. I have, my family, my sister, and I have PISTE. And so I'm just trying to find like meaning, I think, in other ways. Yeah. I also just want to like have identity outside of fencing, and maybe even in just sport, but even like outside of sport. Yes. I'm just like exploring myself, which, I'm 33, but I'm like, I think exploring my adulthood without fencing now. So that's been interesting. And, it's kind of like lonely because no one really, it's kind of like sometimes incompatible worlds, or like, I've had such a weird experience.
It's just different. You're rediscovering yourself. You know, it's just, like you said, everything's new. Different relationships just aren't the same. You want to find who you are outside of the sport. I think we can all relate. I want to find myself, who I am outside of my job. I want to be known as someone who's not affiliated with X organization or X team. Yeah. And that's actually part of the reason why I'm building Bold and Brilliant Life, so we can have these conversations and realize we're in this together. Yeah.
No, it's important. I think more direction for athletes when they're exiting sport at this really high level is very important, because it's hard to navigate. And also, you've been in a bubble a lot of your life, and it's like you're meeting other adults who've had life experiences, and like you're intersecting with them, and it's like you've known the same people your whole life, you know what I mean? Closely. Yeah. In terms of like my close network, it's always been fencers. And so now I'm trying to like, pivot out a bit. And so I'm meeting new people, and I'm like engaging with them in ways I have never really done before. I don't have experience doing, especially even at my age. It's like, to not have as much experience as most other people do interacting with people. I've been in my world, so that's been a little bit like, whoo, the world is crazy. These people are crazy outside.
Listen, it's crazy everywhere. Inside fencing, outside of fencing. Welcome to reality. Unfortunately,
it's also crazy inside fencing.
Yes. And real quick, we're gonna wrap up soon, but you've been to the Olympics multiple times. Not everyone gets to go to the Olympics. You've gone twice. Can you talk to us about what it's like to go to the Olympics, be an Olympian? Because I can only imagine. I don't even know where to begin. Like, how was it?
Oh, that's a good question. The Olympics were, how was it? It was fun. You're competing to get to the Olympics in fencing, and in most sports, it's a grueling process. It's very hard. It's a year-long process for us for fencing, and you're traveling. You're doing your normal like travel year throughout the year. It's like you're going to maybe 10 to 12 different countries. You're training, you're doing training camps, you're doing the national competitions, you're doing your normal home practices. And so it's a very long year. So by the time you get to the Olympics, it's like, whew, praise the Lord, I made it. So it's a big relief. And then you get there and it's huge. It's like, it's a grand stage, but not only the fencing stage, like
every sport.
There's so many people there. There's like in the city, there's people everywhere. In the village, there's people everywhere. There's lots of attention. There's lots of interviews. There's lots of people who want to know want to chat. And you kind of just have to like block out everything.
Because you're there to compete.
It's like, it's not fun and games, it's you're there to do a job. And I find just not on the Olympics, but just in general, being an athlete, you really have to block out a lot of the noise, especially with social media, because you're not going to make results if you're so focused on this sponsor, that like photo shoot, this, like that's, and if you do, you have to manage it. At some point you have to kind of do both, but you just have to kind of keep your intention on, being the best athlete you can be. And I think something that helped me is focusing on being a student of the game. So like always being curious about how I can change my game, or like how I can be better in the sport, because it gets very distracting, I think, once all these other, like once the eyeballs come in. But yeah, the Olympics were fun. I highly recommend.
Right.
I highly recommend. I want to bring my daughter. I don't know to which one, but we'll definitely.
Well, in LA, right, in the United States. Will that be the same? You've gone to the Olympics in Rio?
And London.
London. I don't know how America will feel.
LA's
no
going
offense.
It's going to be great. No, it's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for it. And she'll be 4. So it'll be a good, like, what is it called? A core childhood memory, to go. And hopefully we'll watch, I'm sure Lee will still be there, so we can watch Auntie Lee and hopefully Lauren and some of my friends, and she can be like, she's in the pointing face. She's like,
I love that.
Yeah, it'll be great. But yeah, also just great community, seeing the world on the stage. Some of my like best memories of fencing are competing with other athletes around the world. And even if we don't talk to this day, like if I went to Japan, I would say like, oh, hey, hi, Chico, like, I'm in Japan, I'm in Tokyo, like, can you show me what to do? Or like, and she would take me to lunch, like, or if I go to France, like, one of my friends there will take me out. It's like, it's such a great global community through the Olympics, through fencing, but also the Olympics, like through other sports too. You meet really cool people. And like I was saying, like being an athlete is kind of, it's hard because in the broader world, you don't come across a lot of other professional athletes who are doing it at a high level full time. And so you're suddenly in the space of like everyone's doing their sport full time and is very serious about their sport. And so you have it's like a whole cool playground of people who are also, playing, like doing their sport as a way to make a living and like it's their passion. So it's cool to just like meet other people who have that experience.
It's an experience that not everyone can speak on. So it's such an honor and a privilege to be alongside you. You know, so many great experiences. I want to do a quick little rapid fire because I know our time is coming to a close. I can't believe, can you believe it? Our time is
fun.
Coming.
It was great.
Yes.
I love chatting with you.
Yes. So I have a few rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
Well, I feel like my rapid fire questions aren't as like rapid. They're more thought provoking. So we'll see how they go.
Okay, let's do it.
So what's the favorite city you fenced in?
My favorite city that I've fenced in, probably Rio. Yo, Rio,
the Olympics,
beautiful. We had a test event in Rio the year before, and honestly I like that better than the Olympics, I think, because it was so free. There wasn't all the like crowds. I'm not a crowd person. There weren't the crowds everywhere, and it was like there weren't as many restrictions on everything. I also love Turkey.
I hear great things about Turkey.
Yes.
What is your favorite Olympic memory?
Olympic memory, oof. Probably London, like doing all the sites in London, like Big Ben, and taking a cruise under the London Bridge, and my first Olympics.
Speed or strategy?
Speed. Sorry. Speed, but like I know I should say strategy.
Okay. Bold or brilliant?
Brilliant. But also bold.
I love that, right?
Sorry,
and we have to talk about it. You went to Columbia University. Shout out Columbia. You studied political science.
I did.
Were you planning to be a lawyer or?
My mom was a lawyer.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my mom was a lawyer. No, I wanted to, when I went to school, I wanted to work at the IOC, International Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, I want to do international relations with sport, and I want to use sport as a mobilizer. As like as a tools to like what PISTE does. Mm-hmm. I wanted to use sport as a builder of character and an equalizer to help under-resourced like people, areas, people who don't have the access to, you know, fulfill their potential and unlock their potential and use sport in that capacity. So I've done it like more a micro way with PISTE, but you know, maybe in the future it'll be more macro. But that's always kind of been, that social justice piece has always been a part of me. My mom put that. Yeah.
Your mom is such a beautiful light. Again, you're the queen, Nzingha.
Thank you,
it's been a
dear.
pleasure and an honor. Any last words you want to say to our viewers about living a bold and brilliant life?
Something I've been working on more recently, to be bold, is trusting myself. And I think I really have had, especially in the last like few years since I've left fencing and kind of in uncharted territory for me, I've lost some trust in myself and like following my gut. And in fencing, it's like something I used to tell myself is like, don't be a punk. And what that means to me is like, don't hesitate, because if you hesitate in fencing, the moment's gone. You can't do what you were like, what you felt should be happening. So I think something that like being bold is you know, trusting yourself and like listening to yourself. And in fencing, because I was trained so classically and like so intensely, it was like whatever athletically comes out is like, that's the trust in yourself. But in the world, I think I need to be a lot more deliberate and like, what is myself saying? So taking more times to like listen to myself. And that's bold, because often what yourself is telling you is not the easy thing. So that is my bold. And I think we can have, so yeah, brilliant, but like bold is like the, I have to do that. I have to do it.
I hear you 1,000%. Thank you so much for your time, Nzingha. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to learn more, stick around. How can we find you?
Oh, I'm on Instagram, Nzingha P, Nzingha P.
And at PISTEacademy.org.
At PISTEacademy.org. We are a very low-cost fencing academy and organization. So if you would ever want to reach out, please let me know. My email is nzingha@PISTEacademy.org. If you want to collaborate, partner, donate, sponsor, we're open to, you know, all of the above.
Yeah, so thank you. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who would really enjoy. This is the Bold and Brilliant Life Show. I'm your host, Bianca Peart, with Nzingha Prescod.
Thank you, my dear. It was great.
Yes.
This was fun.
Yes, until next time, stay bold and brilliant.